Hey guys, how's it going? So today I want to talk about one of my favorite characters that Fate has given us from both a design, gameplay, and personality angle. A character that was known for being an invincible warrior and tyrant among men, Caenis, or Caenis, depending on what part of their life you're talking about. Caenis is a tragic character from Greek myth with only some loose connections to myths outside of their own. They do appear among the roster of heroes that participate in the Caledonian Boar Hunt, which qualifies them as a member of the Argonauts. So today we're going to take a bit of a deeper look into them so you can learn the story of Caenis. Caenis was born a woman and member of the Lapith, which were a member of the Aeolian tribe and lived in Thessaly. This tribe is said to be directly descended from the god Apollo, and their closest blood relatives were the Centaurs. This will be important later. Caenis was the daughter of Atrax, who was the founder of the city Atrax, which was situated above the Peneus River. We are not given any details of her childhood or early life in the myths, and her tale more or less picks up with Poseidon. Now, the earliest accounts of her myth have the sea god Poseidon proposition the girl for sex, to which she agrees, if he will grant her one wish. This is fairly consistent with the majority for early myths as well, with only some minor variations applied. For example, in one instance, she chooses to become a man so that she won't bear his child. In another, she asks to become a man before the deed, to which he agrees to, but then it turns out the proposition once the transformation has taken place. It is not until we get to Ovid's variation where the tale becomes a full-on assault. In this variation, Poseidon abducts the girl and forces himself onto her. So pleased was the god of sea with his actions that he even turned to her and asked if there's anything that she wanted. She was so traumatized by the incident that she requested to become an invincible man so that she may never experience such an awful fate again, to which the sea god permitted, making her into a man and giving her impenetrable skin. From then on, he began using this spelling of Caenis over Canis. The Caenis from Ovid's tale is also the one that Fate seems to be using as their model, hence their entirely justified hatred towards Poseidon. While Caenis was labeled among the Caledonian Boar Hunters, his role on the onslaught is more so left to a passing mention as opposed to being someone who had a leading role. The tale that Caenis is most famous for is known as the Centaur Machia, or War of the Centaurs. Centaurs are interesting creatures in Greek myth because they are savage and barbaric but not unreasonable to work with. As such, they are capable of common courtesy, but just often choose to live in savagery. The tale goes something like this, as is recounted by Nestor to the Achaeans in the Metamorphosis. The king of the Lapis, Pirithous, was said to be wed to a human woman named Hippodamia. The king sent out invitations to all of his officials, court members, and heroes whom he wished to celebrate with, including Theseus, Peleus, and Nestor. He also sent an invitation to the centaurs around the area, as the Lapiths and centaurs were closely related. As with any good party, there was plenty of alcohol present, which led to many present becoming increasingly intoxicated. The centaurs present got exceedingly drunk, and their ability to act civilized went away with it. As such, they began abducting women from the party and taking them away, including the king's bride. Naturally, this didn't fly too well with the Lapiths, who then readied themselves to take back their women. This included Theseus and Caenis. Caenis himself killed 5 centaurs. Now, let's put that into some context real quick. Heracles, the greatest hero of Greek myth, struggled to kill centaurs in his time, and was ultimately killed by one himself. Well, kind of. Not so much the centaur himself, but the centaur's scheming. This is to say that the feat of slaying 5 of them is a significant one. Caenis then came upon a centaur named Latreus, who goaded him for being born a woman. Caenis threw his spear at the centaur, missing, only grazing him, and Latreus threw his spear directly into Caenis' face. However, as Caenis was invincible, it merely glanced off of him. Latreus, confused and angered at the failed attempt, charged in and slashed at Caenis with his sword until it broke upon the Lapith's body. Caenis then easily plunged his sword into the creature's side, killing him. Other centaurs attempted to fight off Caenis as well, but failed in much the same way. It was only when a smarter centaur by the name of Modicus devised a plan did the tide of battle turn against Caenis. He suggested using the strength of the centaurs to their advantage, and picked up a pine tree and hurled it at the warrior. Other centaurs followed suit until the entirety of Mount Othrys had been completely stripped of trees, all precisely piled on top of Caenis. Despite his immense strength, the forces being pushed into the depths of the earth suffocated the hero. In some traditions, at the moment of his death, Caenis became a brilliantly colored bird that flew from the pit, never to be seen again. In vengeance, the Lapiths massacred half of the centaurs, and the half that did manage to escape carried various wounds. Thus was the defeat of Caenis. That is the basics and roughly agreed upon legend of Caenis. Now for some deviations. The Argonautica claims that Caenis had a son named Corinus, who was an Argonaut that would become the king of the Lapiths. Some accounts claim that rather than being buried alive by centaurs, he instead opted to kill himself. Virgil claims that after his death, the fates turned Caenis back into a woman, and Caenis is also labeled as a female in the Hesiodic catalog of women. Mind you, for Hesiod, that was a collection of heroes that were female, and given that Caenis was born a female, it kind of checks out in the ancient Greek mindset to mark them in there. Let's address the elephant in the room with Caenis and how they appear in Fate. 1. Why do they appear as having feminine features if the majority of their myth revolves around them being a male? This is likely done because Fate bought into Virgil's rendition where Caenis became a woman after death, but because the legend is so heavily focused on them being male, they changed their gender through ascension. This leads me into addressing the second element in Twitter's favorite word, pronouns. As you may have noticed, as I wrote this script, I was very careful about how I was referring to Caenis. Before the transformation, calling them a she is appropriate. After, calling them a he is appropriate, but their rendition in Fate opts me to use they. This is because in-game, Caenis is given the gender unknown trait. Lancer Caenis is referred to by both sets of pronouns, and their summer version goes by male pronouns, so it's kind of difficult to tell. In my mind, it's more akin to a Daeon and Kido situation, where having they, them, or referring to them by their name is the more appropriate course of action, rather than an Astolfo situation where they've been confirmed male, but I have Ooga Booga man brain, so I usually just use she, her, which I do need to work on in the future. But that is the tale of Caenis. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. If there is a character that you would like me to cover in the future, please let me know down there as well. Do all the YouTube stuff, check in the description for links to my Twitch, Discord, and Twitter. But for now guys, keep your chin up, peace.